Advisory Commission on Immunization Practices met this week, and we've been no stranger to reporting on that on this show. And they met with a lot of agendas on the docket, but one of the major ones everyone was keeping an eye on is they were going to vote on who was going to get the COVID-19 shot first in the United States. So let's take a look at what they talked about.
Reactogenicity post-vaccination will be a concern among vaccinated healthcare personnel. We will have additional data soon from the phase 3 trials. This is the current data from the phase 1-2 trials with vaccine doses used in the phase 3 trials. While the numbers here are quite small, you can see that systemic symptoms are more common after the second dose. Next, consider staggering vaccination of personnel from similar units or positions. In addition, consider planning that personnel could have time away from clinical care if healthcare personnel experience systemic symptoms post-vaccination. And on that issue, we wanted to let you know that there is additional CDC guidance forthcoming describing the approach to systemic symptoms in healthcare personnel after COVID-19 vaccination.
That was actually the wrong video, Jeffrey. I think what we wanted to show was that they decided that there would be, I believe it was frontline doctors, nursing homes, and communities at risk like African-American communities would be some of the first to receive the vaccine. But what that showed is that the CDC actually has a concern, right, that if we start vaccinating our healthcare workers, what if they all get sick? Remember what I opened the show up with. This is not, this is known news. People are going to get sick. Systemic illness is possible. If we vaccinate everyone in a hospital, what happens if they all get sick and we can't run the hospital? So she's talking about, right, like let's vary when people get it, give half maybe in one department and wait for the others. And meanwhile, doctors are aware of this, right? I mean, I don't think they're stupid. They know this is an extremely experimental vaccine that has now very known, noticeable effects as it's being described. So what's going on with the doctors? Are they going to line up for this?
Yeah, correct. And this is something that was predicted, and now it is a reality. It's the healthcare workers and the residents and workers of long-term care facilities is what's being green-lighted. It's called Phase 1A. So the doctors are and the medical professionals are the targets now for this first wave of vaccinations when it gets approved in the U.S. So what's happening is we're seeing a new narrative come out, and much like the Qantas Airlines, people that didn't like that, we're seeing doctors that question the vaccine, are also becoming called anti-vax. This is a headline out of the Sky News. This is the NHS. NHS doctors and nurses and health professionals staff form anti-vax group and label new COVID jabs poison. Well, looking past the headlines, the group they formed was called NHS Workers for Choice, No Restriction for Declining Vaccine. So this was basically some workers that are getting together and saying, look, they might try to coerce this like they have with the flu jab in the past, and we don't want to lose our jobs. So we're going to get together and perhaps discuss the science. They were immediately labeled. Basically what happened was someone infiltrated the group. It's a closed group now, and it's no longer hundreds. It's up to almost 3,000 people. Wow. And they're discussing what they're going to do, what the studies look like, and the data. Now, let's go over to the Washington Post. And this is not an isolated incident here. We have doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals talking. Washington Post, doctors and nurses want more data before championing vaccines to end the pandemic. Looking at the quotes in there, large health system medical societies and the federal government are launching an effort to persuade frontline healthcare providers to take novel vaccines that were developed and are likely to be granted emergency approval in record time. So in the US, we're really in the middle of like an Operation Warp Speed of vaccine persuasion. And why is that? Well, there's a lot of studies that show this. For example, this is a study out of, it looked at Los Angeles healthcare workers. It was in a November assessment of COVID-19 vaccine acceptance among healthcare workers in Los Angeles. It found, notably, 47.3% of respondents reported unwillingness to participate in a coronavirus vaccine trial, and most 66.5 intend to delay vaccinations. The odds of reporting intent to delay coronavirus vaccine uptake were 4.15 times higher among nurses. And this isn't just a US or a UK phenomenon. Also in Italy,
the irony, by the way, just because you and I covered this, and so many of those parents of vaccine injury out there must just be shaking their heads saying, welcome to the club, doctors and nurses, that made us anti-vaxxers and told us we were crazy when we wanted to delay our vaccines after we saw injuries. Yeah, we too want to delay, but the CDC and doctors keep saying, you better not do that. That could be dangerous. Now we have doctors and nurses. I'm going to delay the vaccine. Thank you very much.
If you like that clip, then be sure to check out our live broadcast of The High Wire every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. You can watch it on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, and Twitter. We'll see you there.